sides. And we're not going to do a normal, quite the normal setup that you're familiar with. So I just want familiar with. So I just want you to just embrace your posture for a moment. Just revisit that standing position. So you're feeling like you're nice and evenly balanced through the front and back body. You've got a little bit of weight into your heels and just a couple of breaths to just allow yourself to just settle into being here, get yourself ready for the session. So just a couple of breaths in. And while you're doing that, let's go ahead and interlace your hands, your fingers, okay? Interlace those fingers and pop your palms away. Press the palms away from you if you can. If that's not comfortable, then you're fine just holding your hands normally. But otherwise, press the palms away and lift the arms so they just come overhead. And we're going to do some breath work here. We're going to start by trying to find some space in the spine. So you're going to breathe in, and as you do so, just let the shoulders come slightly up and the shoulder blades lift towards the ceiling. And then as you exhale, just let the rib cage, shoulders and shoulder blades just come back down. So breathing in, lift, and find that gentle pull of the torso towards the ceiling and then down with your exhale. We're going to just do a few of these here. Feel relaxed under the soles of the feet. In case you're kind of gripping there with the feet, just try and relax those guys and feel anchored into the floor there under the feet. And find that space, perhaps it's through your tummy area, perhaps it's through the rib cage, maybe even those shoulders, okay? And we're going to have one more breath in and then just release the arms down towards the front of you. Okay, so we're going to start with some arm rotations. Let's go ahead and start with our right arm. You're going to reverse direction to begin with. So send the arm behind you, sweeping it up and over. It's a slightly more awkward movement rotation for us, and pause towards the side of you. Take the left arm, rotation behind you. Okay, so you're keeping the shoulders facing pretty much forwards. Your gaze is front as well. And you're really letting this humerus bone in your shoulder joint do its maximum rotation without letting anything else join in, okay? We're going to do one more on either side. And just as I said at the beginning, at the outset, observe how it feels. If there's any little clunky bits, perhaps a bit where you feel like you can't get the same range on one side as the other, just observe and make note. And pause there. In the opposite direction now, right arm, it's going to head backwards as if you're doing a backward stroke in the pool. So you're heading behind you, slightly easier range of motion for us this way. But at the same time, it's therefore quite tempting to move your upper body with it. Okay, so try and really isolate the arm and get that full range, a really nice big range, and pause down with the hands by the sides. Okay, so moving down the body to the ribs now. We're going to head towards the left-hand side with a reach. You're going to reach out towards the left, palm facing up. And imagine your ribs now having that stack. They've just kind of gone off to the side and they're pulling away from your pelvis. Over towards the right, reach and stretch. Your pelvis is your anchor now. And when you reach, okay, to the side, almost feel a weight through the anchor, through your right hip now, pulling down towards the floor and over towards the left. And now, I beg your pardon, now it's your right hip pulling down towards the floor, and then come back to center and pause there. Double arm float now towards the sky. Okay, so we're heading over towards that right-hand side, over towards the right, reach and stretch. Now a little bit more down over the side of the pelvis, if you can visualize. The stretching coming all the way down your side body, not just through the ribs, but everything down through your side body, over the pelvis, and almost into the top of the thighs. Over towards the right, pressing down. And then back up, nice and tall space in the spine, final time towards the left, and come back through to center and bring your hands down into your heart space, popping the thumbs into your chest, shoulder blades, just draw them back and down and make space, widen the legs out so your toes are facing slightly outwards, not all the way to the sides of the room, perhaps just a little bit away from facing front. Now we're going to just take ourselves into a small knee bend towards the left. So it's a gentle knee bend, and then bring yourself back up and a knee bend towards the right. So you're just investigating the mobilization of the knee and ankle here. So it's nice, easy work. But try and think about staying facing front to me. So don't twist towards the knee you're bending. Stay facing front. We've got one more either side. You might find there's a little bit of clicking and clunking going on, so take it nice and gently. And then bring yourself back to center. Well done. And release those hands down. Okay, so you're going to walk those toes and heels in towards the middle of the room. All righty, and we're going to head out now towards the short edge of the mat and face down the full length of your mat. And bend into those knee joints you've just mobilized. Bend into those ankles and really sit into your heels. Okay, bring the tummy button in. We're going to roll down. Before I lose you down in amongst the knees there, I want you to remember that this is our hanging like a ragdoll position where you hold your hands on your elbows, okay? We're going to roll down first and then hang like a ragdoll. So chin into throat space, tummy in. Peel down as if you're peeling off the wall behind you, just that sensation of releasing the spine down towards your knees or shins. And then go ahead and grab those elbows, one hand on each, and let the head go, okay? Almost like you're cradling the head. Bring the tummy button in one more time so you really feel like you're kind of drawing in your core. And what I want you to do now is imagine your bottom has got some paint on it. And I'd like you to imagine you're drawing a line on the wall behind you guys. So you're going to push your bottom cheeks to the right and then towards the left and try and find a bit of a flow as you push your bottom from left to right. So it's a kind of left and right and left and right. And then try and relax the upper body a little bit more, okay? So you're trying to let the rib cage come towards those thighs, pushing the bottom from left to right, just mobilizing in that sacroiliac joint space at the base of the spine. And then we're going to come down onto terra firma with our hands on the mat and walk forwards into plank, okay? So spoiler alert, we're heading into plank, forwards we go. And just be mindful to check in on your plank, people, yeah? So if you're finding it's a little bit intense, Michelle, you can drop down onto triangles if you'd rather feel like it's not quite so high. We're going to just pause here for a second and we're coming forwards and backwards, okay, with the crown of the head. So we call this battering ram. It's not by lifting your bottom, it's by pushing onto your toes and then pulling back with your heels. Perhaps think about it as mobilizing your ankles. Okay, it's a little bit of weight bearing over the wrists, I know. Do drop to triangles if you wish. And this is our last one. It is just a warmer upper, okay? So pop your knees down on the mat, flatten the front of your feet and toenails onto the mat and glue your hands in the mat. They're glued in because I want them to stay glued on the mat as you pull back into child's pose. Feel a pull on your arms. Okay, so you've got those opposite energies, hands glued on the mat, bum pulling to heels. And then once you've found that stretch, slowly ease your bottom back towards the heels, very slowly into child's pose and breathe there. Just hang out there for a moment, okay? Just hang out there for a second and just do two nice deep breaths into your heart space, okay? Just into the lower back, into the heart space, okay. Where have we gone? Hang on one second. Right, okay, guys, we're gonna just pop ourselves back now into a V stretch. So tuck your toes under. So tuck your toes under, pop your hands a little bit perhaps close. So we're popping up into V stretch. So you're going to pop all the way up here into V stretch. Okay, so in this position here, we're going to be thinking a little bit about our chest space here, the front of your chest, your pectoral muscles. I'd like you to imagine they're going to get slightly closer towards your knees. So you have to press your head, neck and shoulders between your arms, and you're going to pulse that motion. It's a small pulse and a pulse, okay? So you're thinking your chest is trying to push between the arms in the direction of your legs, and you're getting a little bit of a stretch at the front of those armpit areas to the front of the arms. I'm going to do one or two of these, guys. And then I want you to soften both of your knees, bend both of your knees, and really pull your belly button in. So that's nice and controlled. And then walk your hands back towards your toes. Really slowly, gently walking your hands to your toes, and then you're rolling back up. You can walk up your legs if you wish and bring yourself back into center, feet in parallel. Okay, we're going to go through this process one more time, a bit quicker and adding on some elements to it. So let's get ourselves back into your mats, feet in parallel, hands are interlaced above the head. We're going to speed this up now. So we're going to just get some breath work in, please find some space. Okay, nice and active. We're going to breathe in, lift the shoulders, exhale, depress the shoulder blades, and lift as you breathe in and exhale. Find a space, grounded through the soles of the feet, from which you're pulling up through the top of the head, away from the feet. One more time, breathe, find space and release. Hands by your sides, over towards our side, our reach with the torso, towards the left, reach to the left and then to the right. Speeding this up now, okay, so we're going to head to the left and to the right. Find some flow to the left and the right. One more time, left, push through those sides, through the side body and back to center. Double arm float overhead. Over towards our right. We're going to head towards the right and we're going to pulse for 3. So it's 1, 2, 3 small pulses. Lift really tall through that spine and 1, 2, 3 to the left. Grow tall and over 2, 3 and lift and over, 2, 3, and lift and down. For those who are paying any attention, we've missed our arm circles. Apologies. Let's go ahead with circles. On the right, we're heading behind. We're heading right behind us and over. Now we're going to add in a glance to the arm, okay, as it heads behind us. Follow the hand, and I want you now to think about the rest of your body coming with you. So find the rotation with your rest of the body. So you've got shoulders, you've got ribs, you've got spinal rotation going on. Okay, so really feel you've got that full movement. And this is our final one. And now into our backstroke, taking the arm on the right or left, I don't mind. You're heading up and over for backstroke. And again, following your arm with the gaze, and the rest of the body will follow. Feel that space. You've just been trying to find space in the spine. So let that space happen and then get that rotation. Lift up and over. One more time. Lift up and over and pause there. Okay, we've made it back into our heart space with the hands. Shoulder blades back and down, and maybe a slightly more brave, wider stance with these feet. We are going to add in slightly now with a bit of muscle innovation. So what I want you to do is stay facing front. As we come into our side lunge, push the bottom back this time towards the back of you, and feel you're still facing front, but you're really weighted over that bent leg. Okay, so let's go ahead. Over towards the side, over towards the left or whichever side, and then you draw yourself back up to center, breathe in, and over towards the other side. Okay, so this is going to really fire up those quads. Okay, a little bit more now, working into that weight bearing on the knee. Of course, now you're down lower. You don't have to do this. If you'd rather just stay with a gentle knee fold, you can. Okay, that's not a problem. We're going to have a couple more on either side. Just firing up those glutes, firing up those quads and hammies. And this is our last one. Well done. Come back to center. Okay, walking the feet back into the middle and step towards the end of the mat. Softening the knees, sit down into those knees and ankles, and weight into the heels, belly in. Rolling down, we're going to hang like a rag doll. So all the way down to your maximum range with those knees soft, holding onto your elbows. Make a cradle for your head so the head relaxes. And then you're smooshing your bottom from left to right. Is that hanging and relaxing? I'm interested. I want you to feel like you're really grounded under the soles of the feet. And you're kind of just hanging here and pushing the bottom from left to right. Tummy's in, neck's relaxed. And then when you're ready, bring yourself to center, hands on the mat, walking forwards into plank. So stepping those hands all the way to the front edge of the mat, and nice long bodies. Find that space. So we're heading into battering ram this time. As you head forwards, we're going to lift one leg behind us. Okay, so Michelle, you might just want to do some gentle knee touches rather than the movement through the shoulder. Okay, it's totally up to you. Otherwise, you're heading forwards in battering ram and a single leg lift. Pull back with the heels. Forwards and single leg lift, pull back with the heels. Forwards as you lift the leg, pull back with the heels. One more time, forwards and pull back. Glue the hands into the mat, drop your knees, flatten your feet. With the hands glued on the mat, you can get that pull back into child's pose, a stretch in the lumbar spine, and then you slowly let the hands come to your knees as you settle into child's pose. Take 2 breaths. Breathe into your lung space. The diaphragm will press down on those organs and get your lower abdominal stretches. And then we're going to come into our V stretch. So when you're ready, tuck your toes under. Maybe move the hands if you need to. We're popping up into V stretch. And I want you to get right up onto those high heels. Now, remember, we pressed our chest a bit through the arms. So try and find that press and hold with the chest closer to your thighs. High heels, heels super duper high. Please, can you press your left heel towards the mat and pull your right knee towards your nose? And then you're going to come up into your high heels in between. Press your right heel to the mat and pull the left knee towards your nose. The toes stay on the floor, but you're going to start this really nice stretched pedaling. Okay, so it's not just a speedy pedaling. You're trying to think about getting up high, and then pressing knee away from heel. High. Press heel to the floor and knee forwards. One more time either side. And if you're feeling like you're having a bit much here and you want to pop down to child's pose, you're more than welcome. Alternatively, we've got one more piece here, and I'd like you to experiment how you feel with taking one leg towards the ceiling. Have a bit of a stretch, a bit of a play. We're going to revisit this at the end of the class, so just see how it feels for you. Remember, I talked about that observing, switch sides, stretch and reach, pushing through those chests. Popping down into child's pose if you've had enough, or you've done a couple and that's enough for you. Alternatively, this is our last one, guys, so just push on through. Oh, nearly there, and then pause and settling the knees down on the mat for everyone, and again into child's pose, just easing down off the wrists. And if you want to bend the elbows and just take those wrist rotations now, go ahead, please, guys, and just wrist rotate here. So we're going to just build on the rotation side of things now with thread the needle. I'd like us all to take our arms and slide them all the way to the front edge of the mat, okay? If you feel like when you've got here, you feel a bit prohibited with your head kind of hanging somewhere in space, do pop a cushion under your forehead, because then when we're going to thread the needle, you can just turn your head onto the cushion at the side of you, underneath you there. So it's worth grabbing one if you know you can't quite get your head on the mat, please. For thread the needle, of course, take one arm, poke it underneath your armpit. Okay, so you're looking under the armpit. Now try and put the arm that you've poked underneath you flat on the floor. Don't let it hang out, or try not to hold it. Let it relax on the floor. Now, what I'm interested in is your top arm. So as you're lying here now, this is a hold, by the way. You're not going to go the other side yet. Okay, this top arm that's closest to the ceiling for you right now, can you just push your shoulder a little bit more behind you? So that top shoulder, top arm, can you just try and press it a bit more away towards the back of you? Now, can you walk the hand that's extended and above your head a little bit also more towards the back of you and your back of the mat? Yeah, just a little couple of steps. Yeah, there, good. And then maybe can you gaze slightly higher up the wall or higher towards the ceiling under your armpit? Even if it's a centimetre or so, can you just slightly gaze? And that should get you a little bit more stretch to that lower spine. We're right down the base and the outside edge of your spine here. It's a really chunky, massive supporting part of your body. Not all muscles, there's a whole load of tissue there that gets quite tight. Okay, so gorgeous stretching, guys. Well done. We're going to come on to the other side. So really slowly, just unpick this by just slowly inching out of it. Maybe inches are too generous. And then just come back to center. And find yourself in the middle, okay? So find yourself in that symmetry before you head on the other side, okay? So just regroup. Don't just fly into the other side. Your arms are forward. You can adjust your cushion if you need to, and go ahead and post the other arm underneath and see how this feels. So often in Pilates, okay, guys, it's checking out your lefts and rights. And some of those misalignments that you can observe can actually be the root cause of all sorts of other issues. So, you know, it might be a leg length discrepancy. It might be a strength in one side of your glutes that you can work on. So take note of anything that you feel is really different. And then the same sense of just slightly, ever so slightly walking your hand, so the hand above your head slightly more behind you, the top shoulder slightly pushing behind you, lifting your gaze ever so slightly. Take one more breath in so you can actually try and relax, and then bring yourself back out of that, just inching out. And we are onto your tummies. So we're going to pop ourselves down on our fronts. Now the arms, just check this out, guys. Okay, your arms are going to be quite close in towards you. So your elbows are tucked in by your rib cage and your hands are in this kind of sphinx position. Your legs are out long behind you and your forehead is down. So the brief for this is really about spine lengthening. Spine lengthening, not about back extension. Okay, so visualize yourself lying above the mat here. You've got this gorgeous long spine. You've got these lovely long legs and your neck is long. And do check your shoulder blades ever so slightly drawn down. All righty, so shoulder blades are slightly away, or shoulders are slightly away from the ears. Breathe in, and when you're exhaling, the belly's coming into the spine and you're going to forehead float only. Just a small forehead float. You're looking at 5 or 10 centimeters and then back down on the mat. So breathing in when you're down, exhale belly to spine, and then gently lifting your forehead. And you combine that forehead lift with a sense of almost pulling forwards towards that short front edge of your mat. Okay, so you know the drill, the sense of almost pressing into the hands and arms, just gently easing forwards, because you're going to try and feel that sense of pulling your spine away from your pelvis. Okay, that nice lengthening, staying in parallel to your mat. Great, okay, cool. And the next time you come up, I would like you to combine that lift with a single straight leg lift. Okay, so as you lift your forehead, check out one leg lifting and then come back down, reset with a breath in, exhale, As your forehead lift, lift your other leg. Okay, now think about a tug of war. I want you to imagine as you're lifting your forehead, you're pulling towards the top of the mat. And as you lift your leg, you're pulling in the opposite direction towards your foot. Okay, so now you've got that really nice opening through the whole of the spine, but also then down and connecting through the pelvis and through the leg. Nice. We've got one more level, which may or may not be appropriate for you, but it's up to you. Have a go. We're going to just add in a single arm slide. It is a slide, not a lift. Okay, so as you forehead float and legs lift, the opposite arm is going to slide forward. I don't want you to lift that arm. I want you always to use it to press and pull forwards with, okay? And then come back down. Remember the breathe. It's not about lifting and height. It's about how much length you can get through your body above this mat. And then you're down, okay? So it's just a single slide. If that's too much, just go ahead and do this last couple with legs only, please, folks. Okay, the tummy is in, really protecting that lower back as you stretch, reach, lengthen, tug of war, and then come back down. Well done, folks, really great. Okay, so tuck your toes under, pop your hands a little bit lower towards your no rib cage area. We're coming into 4-point kneeling. I don't mind how you get there, but go ahead and draw yourselves up into 4-point kneeling. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of mobilization again down the side body. So 4-point kneeling. If you want to, you're more than welcome to do this in triangles. Okay, it's up to you. If your wrists are a bit uncomfortable, please take your right heel, bring it up to your right bottom cheek, and then cross your right heel across to your left bottom cheek. So this is wag the tail. You've done this before. The knees stay down. Look over your left shoulder and just see if you can check out your toes over your left shoulder there. Okay, and just breathe. And then come back through to center. Lift your left heel to your left bottom cheek. Knee stays on the mat. Cross over so you're now pointing towards your right bottom cheek. Look over your right shoulder and breathe. Okay, so we're going to take this up a level. Can you take your right leg extender out behind you so your toenails are pressing onto the mat? Okay, so those fronts of the feet are down, and lift now to bottom height. Tummy's in nice and tight. Keeping your leg at bottom height, I'd like you to now to send your leg, your right leg is going to head over towards the left, look over your shoulder, and that's a full extended wag the tail, okay? And then take the leg out towards your right, look over your right shoulder, and continue there, left to right. And I want you to find that bending through the spine, okay? Imagining yourself almost like you've got this spring or this concertina or fan, and it's just opening and closing each side of you as you look over your shoulder and extend that leg, okay? Come back through to center, pop the leg back down. Extending now your left leg. Just press the foot down on the floor to begin with to make sure you've got that whole leg innervated and long, and then lift to hip height. And same again, okay? So you're going to look out, sorry, leg's going to head to the left, look out to the left, and check out your leg on the left. And over to the right. Find that boinginess, that lovely movement you have in the spine. We are specifically using that mid-spine, okay, for its purpose. Okay, the bending and the flexing on the side of you. And look for the side. We've got one more either side. Lovely long legs, staying hip height if you can. This is our final one. And come back into 4-point kneeling. Okay, just if you were on triangles, pop back up into 4-point kneeling for this. We're not going to be on the wrist long, but lift into cat stretch, please. In the cat stretch position, bring the belly button really up, and I want you to press into your hands and press into your feet as if you're trying to push the floor away from you. Keep that belly button in. This is your new control center. As you press into the mat and pull up with the belly button, I want you to head into child's pose. So you're going to keep those energies really super intention to press into the mat and pull in the belly as you come back into your child's pose position. Still that belly button is in until the last minute. Now we're going to try and attempt to come out of this in a cow stretch, which means you're going to have to visualize your belly pushing forwards as you lead and come into cow stretch to get out of this. Yeah, so you then come back into your cow stretch as much as you can, pushing the belly forwards. Yes. Now lift into cat.
press, press, press into the mat. Pull that belly button in as if there was a plunger pulling you from behind at the back of that belly button area. And then you pull forwards into cow stretch. Find the flow. You're going to do two or three of these in your own time, and just see if you can find some kind of flow. But it's a purposeful flow. It's a real sense of trying to really find that movement and undulation in the body. And this is a lovely one, guys, to just get yourself warmed up in the morning or at the end of the night if you feel like you sat down a long time all day. Just a really great one to get that movement going. And then we're going to pause here. Wonderful. Okay, we're going to head into lying on our backs now, folks. So however you want to get there, roll over. We can put a cushion behind the head if it feels comfortable for you. You're more than welcome to do that. And we're going to be lying down. Okay. So again, let's revisit this spine. You've done the nice wag the tail working from left to right. We're now going to try and mobilize the vertebrae individually through bridge. Okay. All perfect common sense. Nice. Hands down by your sides. And relax the shoulders, relax the neck and head. And perhaps have a little go while you're here to try and find the space between your shoulder blades. Okay, so have a bit of a wiggle around and see if you can really make those shoulder blades broaden out, shift out the way so you can just get a bit more access and touch point behind the upper spine. It may mean nothing to you, but just see if you can find it. Observe your knees and feet. Kind of tricky in class. Sometimes we find people with their knees are together, feet apart, or vice versa. Have a word, check. Feet are hip width apart, knees are hip width apart. Have a look if you need to. Okay, I know I say it all the time, so you'll be sick of it. When you're ready, you are going to come into bridge. So tilt the pelvis, press into the lower spine, and I want you to start to feel that sense of lifting each vertebrae, but also that sense of stretching through the kneecaps to the end of the mat. So we are doing this with intention to still keep the spine long, okay, even on the way up and the way down. Press into the soles of the feet. You start behind that throat space, then find the area between the shoulder blades we just referenced before. Try and find that space between the shoulder blades and try and sink through there. Then you're into your rib cage, down like piano keys, then through the mid-spine. Check the pubic bone is lifted up to the ceiling until the last minute, and then you head down into neutral spine. Okay, and you're back on the mat. Off we go again, tilting the pelvis. Perhaps a bit more press through the arms, maybe a bit more press through the soles of the feet. And this time you might then might allow you to get a little bit more, push the hips to the ceiling when you kind of spread that press through the whole body, reach to the kneecaps. And again, broaden and relax the shoulder blades. Okay, just let those guys move out the way as you come down, down, down through the spine. We're going to head up one more time. If you feel like your feet are quite a long way away, maybe you just walk them in a tiny smidgen. Okay, so you might restrict that movement a little by drawing those heels closer. Makes it a little bit more challenging. Okay, but at the same time, it means you're not necessarily going to cramp up so much either. If you are cramping, find a bit more pelvic floor energy as well. Try and think about drawing those guys up too. That does tend to take some of the weight off the hamstrings or the effort off the hamstrings, and then come back down and pause. And that's all we're going to do in bridge today, guys. So we're going to pause here and take our attention towards our hips. I'd like you to lift your right leg towards the ceiling. And as you lift this right leg, you kind of take away your 2 feet that you were just a moment ago resting on. Now put the energy into the back of the pelvis. Feel the weight of the pelvis on the mat. Okay, so you're really grounded under the pelvis there. Opposite, again, like the tug of war reference, opposite energy through the feet. Feel like someone is really stretching this leg. Otherwise, you won't get the space in the rib, in the hip, okay? Now, single circles are small, please. I want you to think side plate, maybe dinner plate only, okay? So I'm really kind of not interested in down here. I'm not interested in out the side. I'm interested in a controlled circle that you're drawing on the ceiling. I want you to think of the pressing into the space at the back of the pelvis, even pressing into where you would have that Malteser, you know, when we talk about imprint, that's almost like, I like to visualize like a big crane, and you've got all the weight in the base of the crane, and this is the tall, lofty arm of the leg, you know, the top of the crane you're working with here. Very light, very long, opposite direction when you're ready. And again, be mindful, you're keeping this pelvis really still. If you've got loads of wobbling going on with your other knee, That's a bit of a telltale that you're using too much of your pelvis and leg. You want to keep the core strong and use your core to stabilize. Come back to center and pull that knee into your chest. Okay, so just put it all the way in, give it a break, hip flexors off. Whilst we're here, let's go ahead and extend the other leg to the end of the mat. So you've got the other leg now reaching nice and long. Just let it hang out on the mat. You don't need to lift it, but do try and pull the knee in a bit more and stretch the leg away a bit more. And you've got a bit of an opening at the front of the hip flexor, maybe the front of the pelvis. And when it relaxes, maybe you can hug it in a little tiny bit more, maybe. Okay. And now we're going to do a bit of hamstring work. So relax the body slightly, because we're going to now see if we can maybe straighten this leg. Okay, so both legs are straight, and see where you can hold on, okay, to try and straighten the leg. It may be behind the hamstring itself, it may be behind the calf. Try not to pull behind the knee joint, because you'll end up just doing what you've done a moment ago, which is pulling the knee in. So you're trying to straighten the leg, but then we're going to bend it, and then we're going to straighten it. So we're going to repeat this move. So it's a bend as you breathe in, and an exhale as you straighten. So we're now going to try and get some repeat stretching on this hamstring, okay? So you're going to try and stretch a little bit, and then breathe in and let it have a moment's rest. Then you're going to try and stretch a bit more, okay? And down. So you've got still that sense of trying to reach the leg to the ceiling, but maybe a bit of energy through the leg along the mat as well. That can sometimes kind of make space for the hamstring. Okay, so just exhaling as you straighten the leg. And this last time, pause with the legs straightened. So you've got to your maximum range. We're going to lift the nose. So you're going to bring your nose to knee. So that's your head, neck, and shoulders coming off the mat. And start to see if you can walk your hands a little bit higher up that leg. And maybe you can draw it in towards you a little bit more. We're going to hold for 3, for 2, tummies in, lift for the rib cage, and then ease yourself back down, walking down the leg. And bring both knees into your chest. Okay, small circles with the knees just to give them a little moment to reset. And we're going to head on the other side. So remember your observational skills. Let's see how we feel on this side. Both feet down, arms by your sides one more time. Shoulder blades nice and broad. Lift your left leg towards the ceiling. And as soon as you get there, now let the weight happen in the back of the pelvis. Let that weight shift into the back of the pelvis and into your lower spine, everything pressing down here. Reciprocal energy through the top of the toes towards the ceiling. Stretch, stretch, stretch. When you're ready, feel nice and grounded, long through the leg. Let's go with our circles on this side. Again, not big circles. These are small diddy circles. Keep the weight in the back of the pelvis. And control with the core. Control with the tummy. I've talked about that sense of a giant footprint on the belly, almost that sense of you're being stood on to keep this belly and pelvis still. Reverse direction when you're ready. Okay. Again, if you feel that slight sense of cramping, just turn your attention perhaps to a little bit of pelvic floor energy, just drawing up there a little bit, takes the weight, the energy off your hamstring. We've got 2 more. Nice and weighted through the base of your spine and back, and then pause there. Wonderful. Bring that knee into your chest and give it a hug. And see how this side feels. How does this hip feel by comparison? Extend your right leg to the end of the mat and just let it hang out on the mat for a moment, and draw your knee in again. Hug it close. Hug it close, hug it close. Reach the leg. Knee reaching towards your nose, leg reaching away. So you've got your toes on the right reaching away. And then relax the body slightly as you adjust in readiness for your hamstring stretching. So let the body relax and see where you can grab hold of. Remember, not the knee joint. And then we're going to bend and straighten. And bend with a breath in. Exhale, straighten. And bend. And straighten. And bend. And straighten. This last time we're going to hold the leg. So hold the leg in its straightened position as much as you can. Okay. A little bit of weight perhaps into that lengthened leg along the mat. Bring your nose towards your knees. Lift your head, neck, and shoulders. And get the lift from the rib cage, remember, okay? Walk the hands slightly up the leg if you can, just a smidgen. We're going to hold now for 3, for 2. Feel that hamstring stretching. Last one. And then ease yourself down now, walking down the leg. And head, neck, and shoulders come back, knees into chest. Okay, small circles for a final time with the knees. Alrighty, so we're now going to draw attention towards this core. Just a little bit of strength work, but also a little bit of stretching through the legs through our frog legs position. So I'd like you to widen your knees. I'll turn around so you can kind of see a little bit better in silhouette against the wall. Widen your knees, all righty. And then I want you to put your heels together. So you've pinned them together with super glue and you've turned your toes away. Now, the angle of the feet and the ankles stays like this for the whole time. So when we go into leg extension, I don't want you to point your toes. I want you to press through the heels and pull the toes out towards the side of you, almost like you're standing in a V shape on the floor, okay? And then you pull back in with the heels to the pubic bone, and then you press away. Now, the level of press away is up to you, folks. You can press away to the ceiling if you feel like you're maybe getting a bit uncomfortable in the hips. If you want to take it a little bit harder, you're pressing away at a lower angle, okay? And then you bring the heels to the pubic bone and repeat. A little bit of a helper, if you wish, is to lift the bottom and put your hands under your bottom cheeks, and that will just elevate the pelvis slightly. So that is another little help out if you're feeling it's a bit much. Joining in when you're ready. Can I get you to think about the energy between the legs? You're squeezing and gluing those legs together as you press away. But you are also hugely pressing the belly to spine, please. Okay, that has to happen at the same time. If perhaps you feel you can't connect the back on the mat, maybe draw the legs slightly higher up towards the ceiling. You might be heading a bit low, okay, for your capability or back health. Okay, we've got a couple more. Breathe in when the heels are close. Exhale, press away. Don't forget that V shape. Very tempting to point. Last one, guys, and bring your knees into your chest, hands over the top of the knees, and just let them rest for a second. So we've got two pieces to do now, which are our series of 5, or from the series of 5 core work. We are going to build on the stretching you've just done. So it's a single leg stretch followed by scissors coming up. So let the feet relax on the mat for a moment. We can keep heads down if you want to, or we can have the head up. If our neck's stressed, keep the head down. Bring your right knee into your chest, please. Okay, I hope that gave you a moment. And extend your right leg away. And you're going to lift the leg now off the mat. So the right leg is extended and off the mat. Head down if you wish, or otherwise lift your nose towards your knees, or your knee, I should say. And you're in this lovely parallel, powerful position above the mat. You've found space in the spine. You're going to breathe in, exhale, and switch. Knee to chest. Breathe in, exhale, and switch. So I'm looking for a super still upper body, okay? I don't want to see any of this kind of excessive nose to knee flinging. The body stays super still up top. The ribs are doing the lifting. You've brought those ribs together at the front of you, so you're not just dragging on the neck. And we're going to go a bit faster. So it's a switch and a switch and a switch and a switch. It's a pull. It's a pull. Use your arms to pull the knee in towards you. A bit more effort in those arms. For 4. And that's pairs. 3 and 2. Last 1. Pause. Whichever knee you've held on to that's paused in towards your chest, I want you now to extend that leg. So you should have 2 straight legs. You're going to take it into scissors. Breathe in, exhale, and switch. Breathe in, exhale, and switch. Nice. And switch. The head can come down at any time. Okay. And switch and switch. We're going to do 4 more. Pull that leg, lengthen that leg, pin yourself down, belly to spine, belly to mat. 3 and 2 and 1. Bring your knees in. That was rubbish counting. And head down onto the mat. Head, neck, and shoulders down. Hang on to the knees. Okay, we're going to have a nice pause and stretch here. So place those feet back down on the mat. Please, can you take your left ankle, and if it's available to you, you're going to cross it over your right knee. Okay. All right. This may well be enough for some people, and they might feel that they can't actually get their leg any more complicated than that, in which case just hang out here. Some of you might just want to press on the left knee, the left inside edge of your knee or thigh, and that might be a stretch for you as well, around the left piriformis and glute and outside of your bum on the left. Alternatively, I would want you to reach through behind your right thigh. Okay, this is where we're actually trying to head. This is a keyhole stretch or a figure of 4 stretch behind the right thigh. You bring the right foot off the floor and bring the right thigh into your chest. If you've had to lift your head to get there, pop it back down. And if you had to lift your bum to get there, put it back down. And then just try and relax the shoulders, okay? Sometimes you're almost, if you can't relax the shoulders, then you're bringing your shoulders towards your thigh. I want you to bring your thigh towards your chest. That's what I want you to do. Yeah, okay, good. Equally, if you want to go up a level, you can now just slightly slide your body or move your lower body towards the left. So in the direction of your left knee, just move slightly towards the left and then pull the thigh in again. And that will deepen the stretch quite a lot. Okay. Let's just a slight move to the side and then pull in again. Take a breath and then release the leg back down. We're going to go ahead on the other side. So first stage, right ankle on left knee, maybe enough. Pressing away if you want to, just pressing on that outside of your right leg, and that might be enough. Or reach behind your left thigh, draw it in towards you. And then again, just relax the shoulders and relax the bottom down. Do try and bring that thigh in towards you, just that sense of drawing it in. It is an active stretch. Okay, now again, exactly like we did before, if you want to go slightly deeper into this, you send the knees and the legs towards your right, and then you pull in again. Okay, so you might feel like you just slightly rolled to the right side a little bit. And that's fine, and hold and breathe. And we've got a couple more breaths, a couple more seconds. Just make this a little bit more progressive than just maintenance. And then we're going to release and let that stretch and curl. Okay, we're coming back into 4-point kneeling. So however you want to get there, we're going to take ourselves over. You can roll over to your side or just bring yourself up and swivel around for 4-point kneeling. Okay, so 4-point kneeling, guys, we're going to be doing some work behind us. So make sure you've got some space. You might want to come towards the front edge of the mat. And check out 4-point kneeling. You can bring the tummy in. You can think about the shoulder blades back and down. You can think about the spine being long. The neck, always this cheeky neck. Okay, you can imagine you've got that cushion or a pole behind your head. If you drop down, you've lost it. So just be mindful of your neck alignment. It is part of the spine. Okay, take your left leg out behind you and press into the mat with your left foot, front of the left foot. Okay. I kind of want you to do that because I want you to also feel the press of your left hip down towards the mat slightly. Keep that left hip where it is in space and lift your leg up to bottom height. If that left hip feels like it's moved at all, okay, either by lifting or twisting, you need to readjust so your pelvis is parallel. Okay, now we're going to now pop down the foot on the floor one more time, but this time as you lift, you're going to come into dorsiflexion. So you're going to lift the heel. As you come down, you're pointing and pressing on the mat. As you come up, you lift with the heel. You point down and you lift. Now, part of the reason I'm doing this is because I want your leg to work in true alignment, okay? When you press on the mat, your hip is facing the mat. When you lift then from that into dorsiflexion, I want you to lead with the heel, and I don't want you to turn your toes out towards your left. Okay, it's kind of tempting, and we do it anyway because we kind of want our legs, well, our body wants to make space for us to be able to walk fast. So it kind of just makes us kind of take a wide movement. I want you to keep that femur working directly in the hip. Okay, in a forwards and backwards motion. We're going to do one more, and we're pausing in dorsiflexion lifted. Again, your left hip is pushing forwards. Your weight is into the left hand, the left side body. Now, unlike wag the tail, I want you to now keep your torso and shoulders perfectly still, but take your leg out towards the left. Keep your toes pointing down, 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 not pointing to the side, pointing down. Come back to center and send your leg to the right. Breathe in as you come to center, exhale, leg to the side. Come back to center. Really still torsos. If I could see you up close and personal, I would be looking to see how much gathering would be happening at your t-shirt either side of you. If there was a huge amount of gathering, then I know you're starting to use your spine. I want you to work your adductors and abductors at the side of your thigh bone, please, which is the muscle group that creates side movement with the leg. Okay, last two. And come back to center. If you want to drop down onto triangles, you're more than welcome here. We're doing circles with the leg. So dorsiflexion, I want you to circle with the leg on the wall behind you, still flat foot. We've got just one more and then reverse direction. Mindful of that lift up to the glutes, not by bending the leg, but using the glute muscles, please. Those lovely big glute muscles we've got, they're powerful. They're big because they're powerful. And then you come back in and pop back into child's pose. Okay, good. I would imagine that feels quite tough on the wrists. So please do opt for the next side. If you want to, please head down into triangles. Wrist rotations, or pop your fingernails under your wrist to stretch over the wrists if you wish. I feel like I'm rattling through this. I hope this is all okay. We're going to head on to the other side, guys. So into 4-point kneeling, or choose to be down here. Okay, again, just building up is important. Extend that right leg. You've got your lovely 4-point kneeling, shoulder blades back, tummies in, necks are flat and long. Press down onto the mat just to talk to all those leg muscles, including your right hip. Wake up that right hip and lift your leg to bottom height. That is not high. It is not high. It's the length of your thigh bone. It's not high. And then come back down, press on the mat. This time as you come up, we're going to shift into dorsiflexion. Lift with the heel, flatten your foot. Point as you come down, press on the mat. Check that hip hasn't lifted. Okay. This is huge concentration, hugely knowing where you are in space. Okay. Really, really important. You've got weight in your right hand. You've got a really fired up right side of the body. And in fact, the more you can fire up the right side of the body and kind of switch off the left, the more you're going to find you've got that correct hip alignment and not dumping down on that left hip. Okay. And then this last one, we're going to pause in dorsiflexion at hip height. Pausing here, leg nice and long. Okay, so we're going to keep our torso really still. Take the leg out towards the right, toes facing down towards the carpet on the floor all times. Over towards your left. And towards your right. Keep that torso still. There should be no swaying. The maximum range comes from your thigh bone. Okay, so it might not be a very big move, might not be a very big crossover. You might feel disappointed, but don't try and improve by negating your form. We're going to head to the side and to side one more time, left to right. Remember those still t-shirts, necks are long, solid through the body, and come back to center, pausing for our circles. Just stretch through the back of that leg a little bit more, reach for the heel, and off we go with circles. Use those glutes. You're doing this imaginary circle on the wall behind you with the sole of your foot. You should be dorsiflexion still. Okay, so we've really started to pull on those legs, on the hamstrings from the glutes, firing those up and over, and reversing direction when you're ready. Don't forget the weight in your right side of the body, strong through your right side body. Last two, last one, fantastic. And then bring yourself back into child's pose, weight off the wrists. Okay, have a breather here. We're going to be doing our next piece of work in side lying. Okay, so do grab a cushion if you want to. We are going to all start down. Okay, so Michelle, you can be down as well to begin with. We're all going to be down on the lower level of side lying. So we're going to pop ourselves down here. Side lying for me, please, guys. You can either pop yourself with your head supported, or you can have your cushion and you can have your head down. It's totally up to you. And just get mine out of the way. All righty. Equally, any issues with hips or discomfort, you can put a cushion under your hip or under your elbow or underneath this little space here under your shoulder. Do bolster. Okay, please do. Please don't suffer away there. Okay, you can see your toes just about in front of your hips, thighs. It slightly depends on anatomy, but theoretically you should just be able to see your toes there. And then have a word with your upper body. Nice shoulder blades down, tummies in, necks long, looking out to the horizon. Lift your top leg to just above hip height, there or thereabouts, and point it. So you've got a bit of a length in the leg. And then bend your lower leg ever so slightly, not completely pulling it up to your chest or flipping it behind you so you've lost your upper body form. Just soften it slightly. Okay, we're going to do side kick series now, please, folks. So you're going to bring your top leg forwards about hip height, so don't drop it down to the floor, and then point. As you head behind you, can you flex your foot so you're into dorsiflexion to the back? Come forwards and point, and back. So we're looking for a really still torso again. Here's the challenge, because you're working rather than side to side we did it a moment ago, you're now working conversation between the front and back messages. Do go slowly.
Okay, so find that end of range. Challenge is not necessarily the biggest kick you can have, but keep the torso as still as possible and observe the stretches you're getting through the front of the hips and through your hip extensors at the back. And we're going to pause this time, the leg comes forward, and I would like you to flip your foot so you're showing me the sole of your foot. So you've got dorsiflexion now to the front, and then we're going to point to the back. Point, point, point to the back. Forwards in dorsiflexion, show me the soles of your foot or socks, and then to the back and point. So this bit fairly straightforward, but controlled. Okay, we're going to pause this time. The leg goes behind you. So let's go ahead and regroup. Leg behind you, reaching out to the back corner of your mat. Have a think about that. That's where it's going. Top arm now comes away from being your support, and it's almost counterbalancing you by heading to the front corner of your mat. Okay, so it's not overhead. It's kind of just in front of you. All right, now follow this, please, folks. Your arm is going to sweep down to your hip and behind you as your leg comes forwards. Okay, then your arm sweeps over your hip, comes back to your temple as your leg goes back. I'll say that again. The arm comes down to your hip and goes behind you as your leg swoops forwards. Yeah, good. The leg goes behind you as your arm comes back to your temple. Now continue that. Off we go. Now, please keep looking forwards. I don't want you necessarily to follow your arm. I want you to think about using your core to stabilize you. Okay, and it's a nice controlled sweeping motion. Sweep, sweep, sweep. The leg can be in point. You don't need to worry too much about where that is or what the toes are doing, or the ankles, I should say, are doing. But this time we're going to pause with the leg behind you. So you've gone back to that leg behind you, position arm in front. Imagine you're grabbing something with your hand. It's a really big, long reach with your arm. That's your anchor. Reach with your leg in opposition, and I want you to touch the floor and lift. Hi, Suchi, you okay? Just touching down the floor and lifting, okay? Down and raise. Okay, so this is really thinking about trying to stretch over the top of this hip and down into the side of your thighs. Okay, we've got lots of people who have issues down the side of their thighs. I think that's called, you either have some issues with your IT band or your tensor fasciae latae, some of the outside leg muscles, especially for runners. Okay, so this is just working on stretching over the hip, down the thighs. Last two and final one. Gorgeous. Bring your leg now along the middle of the mat and the arm. And we're going to now bring the ear, sorry, not the ear, that's not it at all, the knee to elbow. Staying high as much as you can. So not just kind of in front of you, but high. Open up that pelvis and then reach. Get a big, strong reach and breath in. Exhale, knee to elbow and reach. Now we're getting down that side body, those transverse abdominis muscles. Okay, we're giving them a bit of a work here. And a stretch, of course, with a breath in. Exhale and reach. Last one. And pause here. Okay, bring your knees to the front edge of the mat. Both knees stacked to the front, a little bit further up towards your chest. Now, Michelle, if you want to stay here, you can stay down. If this is your not such good shoulder, so stay down. Otherwise, you're coming up. I'll show you. You can make a decision and see, and if it feels awful, you know, pop back down. But we're going to be here on this arm. So you're supporting yourself with the elbow under the shoulder. Knees are forwards, and then have a word with yourself about lifting the rib cage. Okay, and physically lift the rib cage away from the floor. Take your top arm towards the ceiling, so we can all do this, and stack the shoulders and just pop the hand then just gently behind your head. It's more directional, so you just kind of know where you are rather than anything more. From here, breathing in, exhale, lift the top knee, the feet stay together. They may slightly roll away from each other, but that's pretty much it. Bring your knees together with a breath in. Exhale as you lift and down and lift and lower. Again, I am looking for, or it would be if I could see more closely, that there is no twist and rotation in the t-shirt around your waist. There's all these means and ways of me seeing what your body's doing. Okay, so if I see some rotation through the side of your t-shirt, you've rotated through the spine. It should be perfectly still facing forwards. Find your end of range yourself in that thigh bone and that hip joint. Adding on if you want to, Michelle, stay where you are. If you want to add on, you're going to add on a hip lift and then go into your clam and then come back down. Okay, so it's a hip lift and open. We're just going to do a couple of these because it's quite a big piece on this shoulder, the supporting shoulder. Okay, so just a couple more. You do a couple more clams for me there, Michelle. Okay, just keep that shoulder safe. And last one up and release back down. Okay, we're going to swing the legs around the other way. So just draw yourself up and over. Have a little moment, wiggle, jiggle in between if you need to, and then pop yourselves down. Remember, we start side lying low. All the options available to you there, with heads supported with your arm, with a cushion. Check out your toenails, and then go through your own to-do list. Necks long, shoulder blades down, tummy's in, looking at the horizon. Lift your top leg to just above hip height and point. Slight bend at the lower leg as your stabilizer. Tummy still in, maybe pelvic floors, who knows. Draw the leg forwards, in point, pointing towards me. We dorsiflex as we press the heel behind us. Forwards in point and press the heel behind. And once more, remember, we are not trying to follow the leg with our bodies. We're keeping the torso still. Make that leg work forwards and backwards. What we call our sagittal plane movement. We've done the wag the tail for sideways. We've done that other movement with our dorsiflexion sideways. This is time for forwards and backwards. And we've got 2 more. And after this one, we're going to pause with the legs forwards. And then I'd like to flip it now. So you've got your dorsiflexion at the front, so I can see the sole of your foot. We are now going to pull back into point, come forwards, dorsiflexion. Pull back into point and forwards, dorsiflexion. And pull back. Trying again to stay kind of level. Okay, so wherever you're at, try not to drop the foot to the front and then sweep it up behind you, or vice versa, drop down in the back and sweep it up in front. Thinking of staying level with the hip. And this last time, we're going to pause with a pointed leg behind you. So back we go, point, reach, stretch. Our arm comes towards the front corner of the mat. So you've got that opposite direction, that gorgeous diagonal, stretch and reach. Ready to sweep. We're going to sweep the arm down by your hip as your leg comes forward, and see how you feel on this side. Sweep the arm back to your temple and the leg goes behind you. Good, well done. So the leg heads down, so arm heads down and back as the leg comes forward. And we're keeping that top arm kind of skimming over the body, all right? So it's not kind of sweeping up here towards the ceiling. It's just skimming above the hip height. And we've got one more. Make this a really nice big reach as you pause now with the leg behind you. Just double check that leg is kind of reaching to the back corner, because then you'll get the stretch, more effective stretch over the hip. Imagine you're grabbing something with this hand, okay? So you just got a bit more energy and intention through this arm as your anchor. Then from there, you're going to touch the back leg onto the mat and then lift it off the floor. It's just a lift and lower. There's no movement forwards. There's no movement backwards. There's no circling. It's just a down and up. Okay, well done. And down and up. Well done. Lowering and lifting and lowering and lifting. Last 2. Reach through that arm. Don't let it get sloppy. Make sure you've got that sense of opposite energy. And final one, pausing here. Bring your knees towards the front of you and see how you get on this side. We're going to head up onto the forearm if you can, or stay down on that arm for your clam work. Elbow underneath shoulder. Yeah, nice proactive lift of the rib cage. And with that, you should be bringing the ear away from the shoulder joint. Okay, so you're really thinking about as much space here as possible. Top arm lifts, just accentuates the space in the ear and the shoulder. And from here, we clam, breathing in and exhale as you lift the knee. Down with a breath in and exhale as you lift. Again, no twist. The hips face forward, the belly button faces forward, your gaze faces forward, the lift of the ribs, the neck is long. You're really super still. All those muscles making sure you stay still, working like Billy-O. Okay, well done. And down and lift. Now, if you want to add in the hip lift, it's going to be a hip lift and then you clam and then you come back down. And it's a hip lift and a clam. Okay, so if you're down on the mat, we're going to make this our last 3. Okay, your clams, nice and strong. Last 2. And down, last one, lifting and lowering. That's fantastic, gorgeous, well done. Okay, folks, pop your hands just towards the side of you, swing around now, or bring yourself up and over into 4-point kneeling. We are going to just pop into our V stretch. So just brace, hands forwards, toes tucked under.
And lift ourselves up into V-stretch for stretching that hamstring area. Try and think about pressing the chest between the arms. I want you to lift up onto those toes. Remember, we did this at the beginning. And I'd like you just to pedal with the freestyle pedaling, okay? So whatever feels good for you, just pedal those legs and feel the sensation through the hips as well. So you're just going to stretch a little bit around the glutes, a little bit of mobilization through those hips. They've just worked really hard. And come to pause with the knees slightly soft. And I'd like you to bring your right leg up towards the ceiling now and just see how it feels now. Press the hips, beg on the chest through the arms. Lift the leg towards the ceiling and then switch sides. Breathing in, exhale and switch. Have a stretch, have a reach, leg towards the ceiling as high as you can. One more time either side. If you'd rather just pedal and you've had enough of this, then you're more than welcome. Just pedal for these last few seconds. And we've got one more final stretch and reach, pressing through your arms. And then this time, soften the knees, tummies in tight. Remember to just help your lower back from taking all the weight. Walk the hands towards your toes, shift onto your heels, and we're going to roll up. So do take it steady. Walk up your legs if you need to with your hands. I should say that doesn't make sense. Walk up your legs. Make sure you can use your hands to support you as you come back up, is what I should say. And bring yourselves to the middle of the mat. Okay, just take a moment to pause. Just 2 seconds of just resetting the body. I want you to soften the knees, make that little cradle with the hands, and just head down towards the mat as you breathe in, grow tall towards the ceiling, and then exhale, flop down towards the mat. So just in your own way, flowing, to just get a bit of movement and just make sure you feel mobilized through the whole of the body. Just a sweeping swing. See what feels comfortable. And then just pause this next time, arms down by your sides. Okay, take a little moment to just breathe, all right? Here, I want you to just have a 2 or 3 breaths in as you stand here. Weight into the heels, hands down by your sides. Breathe in through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Imagine your setup at the beginning of class, our ordinary setup. Thoracic breathing, find space. As you exhale, core and pelvic floor. Grow tall with this last breath. Hold that height as you exhale. If your eyes are closed, then go ahead and open them. And guys, today we are done. Well done. Lovely. Great work, great work. We've barreled through that. There's a lot of this going on. So thank you for listening. I'm sure you probably tuned out, rightly so. Thank you, Michelle. How are you doing? We're okay? Feeling all right? Good stuff? Okay, keep mobile. Next week, we're going to be doing some more range of movement work with some more strength work on the upper body. So Michelle, we're going to take it easy. I'll bear it in mind what we're doing with you, okay? So we'll see how we get on. Yeah, cool. Let me know. All right, how you getting on after this one? Right, let you go. Take care, guys. Bye for now. Bye.